Hi students, I briefly just wanted to go over with you about how to reply to discussion questions in Canvas. Anytime we have a discussion question over an article that we've read or a short story that we've read, you're writing about literature. And so here's how to do that successfully. First of all, you want to make sure that your reply is sufficient length. You need roughly 250 to 300 words at least in order to demonstrate that you've thought critically about this, that you've read the text. That's what you're doing with these, is you're proving to me that you've read the text, that you've gleaned something from it, and then you provide some insight about it that I may not have considered, or that I agree with or disagree with. But I need to be able to tell from your response that you've read and understood the assignment. You'll always use quotes and specific examples from the text to support your ideas. So you've read the text, you've processed it, you've brainstormed a little bit, you've thought about this discussion. Then you provide your response. I don't want to say answer. It's not an answer. It's your thoughts and your ideas. Anytime you provide an idea, you need to back it up or support it with something that you've pulled directly from the text. And of course, if you're quoting it verbatim, you'll need to include quote marks and be sure to attribute that quote to whomever wrote it. You want to be focused in whatever it is you're having to say. You don't just sit down and start replying to a discussion forum. If you do that, that's very obvious that you didn't do the brain work and the sort of pre-writing required of an excellent response. You'll need to demonstrate some in-depth analysis of whatever work you've read. Remember, these short stories that we read, they're literary in merit, so they're not just simply to provide entertainment. They do that. They are entertaining if we're reading a short story. But there's layers there, layers of meaning, and there's depth and complexity, and you need to dig beneath the surface to connect those dots and draw those connections. And of course, you will never just merely summarize the work. I will never ask you to summarize something. There may be an element of summary in your discussion response, but it will never be strictly summary. So don't just summarize everything that happens in the plot or what the article is about. Just avoid doing that. In college, you're here to provide us with your ideas about what it is you've read. So if you're merely summarizing something, you're not contributing anything. You're not showing that you've thought about it. You're not providing your ideas on the topic. When you refer to an author in a discussion question, make sure that you use their last name. You can avoid phrases like I think and I believe. These water down your argument. They weaken it. They're also in first person, which you should avoid. You should also avoid you in your response, that second person. So avoid I, me, we, our, all those first person pronouns and all those second person pronouns, you and your. Give legitimacy to your ideas. Again, find support in the text that backs up or supports whatever it is you're saying about it. Just some rules of thumb when writing about literature. Here we've got first and second person pronouns. These are the ones you want to avoid in your discussion replies and in your essays as well, and stick to third person. Know when to italicize and when to include quotation marks for titles. Obviously, if you're quoting dialogue or if you're quoting something verbatim that was written or said in this work of literature, you would include quote marks. But if we're talking about titles, sometimes titles are included in quote marks and sometimes they are included in italics. And a good way to think of this is if it's a larger container with a smaller part inside, you italicize the container, and the smaller part within that work or that container, you include that title in quotation marks. So if you're writing about the book, the Odyssey, it's an entire book. So you would write the Odyssey in italics. If you're quoting or referring to a poem within inside of a book, you would include that poem title in quotation marks. Again, it's a smaller element contained within a larger unit. A novel title would always be in italics. The title of a short story or a chapter would be in quotation marks. A TV series, Seinfeld, would be italicized, but the episode of a television series would be in quotation marks. Again, the container is italicized. The element within the container is used in quote marks. The magazine, The New Yorker, but the name of the article would be in quotation marks, whereas The New Yorker would be in italics. And then these are just a few common grammar errors and punctuation errors I see. So you'll need to look over those. Make sure you use correct punctuation and that you avoid comma splices. You can't put two independent clauses together and just smack a comma in between them. There needs to be a period or a semicolon there, or a conjunction, and, but, or, combining the two. All right, that's it. If you have any questions about how to reply to discussion prompts, email me. If not, I will expect you to really step up your game in this area for Comp 2. All right, thank you.